Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Hi guys, I'm Scott Speed, driver of this amazing Volkswagen Beetle GRC car. I got good news for the iRacing fam. We got this coming in. I'm currently working on it myself personally to make sure that it is as accurate as possible. With the addition of dirt and now this mean car, it is gonna be so fun. And it's gonna be available free to all the iRacing members. Personally, I can't wait to get out there and race you guys on it.
Welcome one and all to V8's Online's live broadcast of the Australia-New Zealand iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship, brought to you by Precision iRacing Team. This is round 0 at Laguna Seca, a bit of a test round before things kick off for the season proper, and we're here to bring you some of that pre-season action tonight. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Cameron Dance. Welcome to the Com Box, Cameron. We're getting ready for some open-wheeler racing in California.
Yeah, geez, thank you, Reese. Yes, we are indeed. It's good to see that we are having some open wheeler action back in the Aussie NC community. So hopefully it's just as good as it used to be, and we'll see how it goes tonight.
Yes, indeed. Well, we're in the practice session at the moment, about 9 minutes in. It's a 30-minute practice followed by a 15-minute qualifying session, and then we'll go into the race session. Currently, there are 15 drivers in the server, but more will undoubtedly turn up as qualifying approaches. Currently top in the timesheets, Jack Bell on a 1:19.936. A fair margin over Chris Burgess, a 1:20.5 from the man in P2. And a guy that we've been seeing quite a bit lately in Carrera Cup, Mark Dean, in third place on a 1:20.972. So that's the current state of play in practice at the moment. Very short lap times here at Laguna Seca. Absolutely magnificent track. One of the considered to be one of the best in the United States. It really has quite a bit of open-wheeler racing to it, of course. Jack Bell on screen at the moment. We've got a good history of USAC, IndyCar, and Champ Car racing here at Laguna Seca. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how things go here. It's quite a smooth circuit, so suits these Formula Renault 2.0 cars well. Also got some nice overtaking opportunities at the last corner, the Andretti hairpin, turn 2. And if you're feeling brave, the corkscrew.
Yeah, it's a very cool track indeed. I do enjoy it myself, and in the Formula Renault or any open wheel car, it's actually very challenging in terms of from a driver's perspective. You've got to be very committed to most of the corners, especially the likes of the corkscrew and the corner before the corkscrew, where usually if you make one single mistake, you are going to run off track, or if at worst, end up in the wall.
Yeah, certainly the walls are very close at this circuit. It's got ample runoff, but especially up the top of the circuit, and on the lead up to the corkscrew, one mistake, banging wheels with a competitor, which can happen in these cars, and you're straight into the wall. Also through the start-finish area as well that Jack Bell just went through. Wall's very, very close through that section as well, as he sets a new fastest lap of the session, a 1:18.966. So, good pace from Jack Bell right now.
Yeah, indeed. It's looking at the times, it's looking like it's not going to be too bad. It's only practice at the moment, so we can't really say much in terms of who's going to be where, but come qualifying, I'd say it's probably going to be a very competitive field, being that there are the likes of some Scops drivers, Emily Jones, Kurt Stenberg, and then also a number of real-life drivers, Jordan McDonnell, Connor Adam, and a couple of other guys that are unfortunately not here tonight, but it's a very competitive field, that's for sure.
Yes, it certainly is. I'll look around. I can't find how many laps this race is going to be, but depending on track length, it's going to be 25 to 30 laps, so races will last around 45 minutes in this series, so I do believe that that is an out-and-out sprint race, basically. Pit stops not really required in these cars.
No, 30 laps it says on my end, so doesn't look like we're going to have a pit stop in this series. You've got a 50-litre tank if you need it, so shouldn't be any pit stops at all, I reckon.
Yep. I'm silly. Don't listen to me. I just ticked over to the info screen and saw the race length. I am I am dumb. Ignore me.
That's
Either
okay.
way, it's going to be a long night, Jay says.
Yes, indeed.
It certainly is. But either way, having a lot of fun looking at just how quickly a lot of these cars are taking these corners. The Formula Renault 2.0 is very popular overseas, particularly in Europe. I do believe there's an American series as well. But these cars, they are lower sort of junior Formula cars, but they still produce a fair bit of downforce from that front and rear wing. A little bit of downforce produced through the floor as well. And unusually for such low-powered cars, they've got 7-speed transmissions, which results in some interesting gear choices through corners.
Yeah, it's more of a stepping stone for guys that are in junior Formula or lower Formula cars, so to give them an experience with downforce and slicks and wings. And as far as where they are based. The Renault series is mainly Europe. As far as America goes, there is the USF 2000 class, but that's a little bit different of an animal. But otherwise, yeah, you are correct.
Yeah, and as the name implies, these cars have a 2-litre Renault 4-cylinder engine. It produces a modest amount of power, but nonetheless, through the turns, it really makes it up. It's an interesting sort of counterpoint to the Pro Mazda car that's been on iRacing for a very long time, with that car's sort of rotary Mazda engine. Pretty much since day one, we're hearing from Mr. Director Jay. The Star Mazda's been around, so the Formula Renault is still very much the new kid on the block, but it's proved to be a very popular car, and you want to jump in and have a good open-wheeler race, it's turned out this is one of the cars for you.
Yeah, it's a good little car, actually. I've driven it a number of times in seasons myself, as I do enjoy a bit of open-wheel racing, and it is a good car, but it is also challenging to push right to the limit, as I've found it numerous times. And the other problem it also has is that if you aren't actually careful, you can damage the aerodynamics quite easily. So these guys are going to have to be careful in terms of where they place the cars when they've got guys beside them, but they're also going to have to be fairly aggressive to get the car to work very well.
Yeah, certainly. And touching on your point about aerodynamics, we have Dylan Shepherd on screen at the moment, and I am noticing that the right edge of his front wing is looking a bit worse for wear. Of course, you'll probably notice going through these turns at Laguna Seca, at the apexes of the turns, there's those big red brick-like constructs at the apexes, sort of like a anti-cut, sort of a predecessor to the sausage curbs that we see almost everywhere now. And if you hit one of them wrong, especially in these high-speed turns in the middle of the lap, it can basically wreck your car in almost any class, but particularly in these open-wheelers. So the drivers will want to be very precise as they come up to the apexes of all of these turns, and take care not to run over the curb too much, lest they go for a bit of a ride, an unplanned one.
Yeah, indeed.
Dylan Shepherd goes out of the last turn, and wow.
Bit of a silence moment there.
Yeah, very spirited on the throttle. The next guy we're going to have a look at in this practice session is Jordan McDonnell in car number 3. Incidentally, our series administrator, the guy who put all of this together and organizes the series and wrote the rule book and runs the whole setup in the forums. He's looking to have a good race as well. Currently doing pretty well, 4th place, 1 minute 20.428. About 3/10 clear of Shepherd.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad by the looks, but he is not too bad of a pedaler, knowing that I've seen him race a couple of times. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well he goes tonight, and props to him on getting this all up and running and the way it's going with all the good guys. So should be interesting to see how this series goes.
Yeah, we're actually talking about this series with Jordan last night, and the sort of lead up to the season. One of the things that we pointed out was that it's actually quite a strong field in this series out of all the people that have signed up. We're saying usually you can take a look at a series entry list and see a couple of guys that you know will finish rather down the order based on the pace of other people who have signed up, but every single person that we've signed up here is either an unknown quantity or a person that we know has quite a bit of talent. So I don't know, it's sort of up in the air as to who exactly is going to do well in this series. We've got quite a full-on championship ready for you guys, as we see Emily Jones on screen stepping out of her usual ride, the V8 supercar with Trans-Tasman Racing. Currently in 6th on a 1 minute 20.5. But this is a really stacked schedule we've got, Cameron. Of course, this pre-season at Laguna Seca, and then you've got a 12-round season with a race basically every week, every Wednesday night. So we've got round 1, Okayama, round 2, Imola, 3 Suzuka, then we got Zandvoort, Circuit of the Americas, Phillip Island, Alton Park, Spa, Monza, Sonoma, Laguna Seca again for the penultimate round, and then the championship finale at Montreal. So a brilliant schedule with tracks that are really suited to these cars and should produce some fantastic racing.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the entry list myself for a little bit now. I was planning to enter, but I decided to maybe leave it to see what happens. And I'm in the commentary box, so I'm not going to be racing. But yeah, looking at the entry list, it's very, very stacked indeed. I mean, you've got guys like Scott Newton, one of the best Formula Renault drivers in the entire series itself, driving for Apex Racing UK, so that's going to be interesting. You've got also a number of real-life drivers, Liam Lawson, Hunter McEllery, Connor Adam, and yeah, the field's just absolutely stacked. A number of other guys from TTR. Yeah, it's just going to be full-on and absolutely awesome to see how competitive and close this field is.
Yeah, certainly. I'm looking forward to seeing them all streaming into Turn 1 at Laguna Seca tonight. Currently on board with Gary Hamilton as he is this lap. Hamilton currently in 5th place, going through the very tight last turn at Laguna Seca. So his last lap was a 20.2. Crosses the line, it's going to be a 21.0, so a little bit of a mistake on that lap. Hamilton with a bit of front aero damage. Next, as we're going to have a look at, is Cameron Freeman, currently in 12th place. On a 1 minute 21.2. Oh, I don't know whether to love or hate most of the turns on this track because they're so challenging. I mean, the corkscrew that we see Cameron going through now is undoubtedly one of the best corners in the world. But most of the other turns on this track, I mean, it takes an awful lot of patience and practice to get these turns right because the majority of them are banked in some way. And as I touched on before, you've got those sausage curbs at the apex that that absolutely destroy your car if you touch them even a little bit the wrong way.
Yeah, it's definitely a track that takes a little bit of patience to get used to. It's very challenging, and when you get it right, it is very rewarding. With the likes of the double apexes, the very cambered and committed corners, so it's not too bad of a track for these cars, but if you do make a mistake, like you said, you'll hit one of those curves or make a mistake and send yourself off.
Jordan on screen once again, we see him running a little bit wide. Dylan Shepherd, meanwhile, goes up into 5th place. One thing I wanted to touch on about this circuit is the stretch of track that Dylan Shepherd is negotiating at the moment, this little infield section, is actually one of the newer parts of the circuit. It was built in the late 1980s in an effort to lure Formula 1 to Laguna Seca, but of course that never happened. Before that point, the track went straight on from where the Andretti hairpin is now to this turn that Shepherd's going through now. So if you look closely, you can see a little bit of stretch of tarmac in the background that's an access road. That's actually the old racetrack from the 50s to now, which I think is pretty cool. So Laguna Seca used to be hugely fast.
Yes, I did not know that. That's quite interesting to know that, Reese. Yeah, that definitely would have provided quite the high speed experience, that corner.
Yeah, I believe
yeah.
back in the old IMSA days when they were using Group C style sports cars, they were lapping this track in under a minute, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
And of course, there were no walls, so it was basically you go off at the corkscrew. You don't have a gravel trap. You've got a little bit of sand and then a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
Shepard goes to 3rd and immediately rotates his car through the Andretti hairpin. We also want to notify our viewers that that live timing is currently working, so check out the description on the YouTube stream, and there will be a link, v8sonline.com/live-timing, and you'll be able to check out who's going faster on what lap, and a full a full sort of live timing experience where you can see all of the lap times in this session and in future sessions. Chris Burgess at the second last corner. That's going to be a problem spot, I think, because if you get it wrong out of the corkscrew and ruin your traction, you have a competitor come up beside you through the following left-hander, and you set it up for the second last corner. You go side by side through there. It is possible, but it's extremely tight. It looks wide, but there's really only one line you can take through there, so I'll be watching that spot during the race.
Yeah, there's a lot of corners that look quite deceiving in terms of where you think you can make an overtake, like the second last corner, like you just mentioned. But yeah, it's a matter of making sure you don't bog yourself in terms of getting the gap too big to the guy ahead, but also making sure the guy behind doesn't get by. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys balance their act of making sure they keep the momentum up to keep up with the guy ahead, but also don't let the guy behind catch up. There's also the other problem of when you're in traffic, you've got aero push as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that as well, just to add into the mix.
Yeah, certainly will. Looking through the field to see if there's anyone on a lap, and we've gone to Kurt Stenberg at the moment. They're coming through the final half of the lap. He's on a flyer at the moment. Just slowed down a little bit out of the penultimate turn, so he's obviously gearing up for another run, running a Postman Pat livery. Obviously wants to send it on a few people in this event. While Gary Hamilton has just gone to third, so we're seeing hints of people's true pace in this session as we've just dipped under 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's looking like everybody's starting to pull the cat out of the bag a little bit. Probably not fully, as there are a couple of guys that are down the order that probably, well, should be at the top actually, but we'll have to see what happens.
Certainly shall. There's 19 cars in the server at the moment, so we've got a good sizable field this test round.
Yeah, 19 isn't too bad. 13 are registered for the actual series itself, and obviously with a few being away, messing around, it's not too bad of an entry list still for there to be 19 and still a couple of quick guys in here.
Meanwhile, AJ Bear goes to 7th on a 1 minute 20.2. Continuing to watch Stenny though, he's just exited the last turn. He is going to cross the line and do a 1 minute 20.18. So no improvement there. Of course, lap times don't really matter as much in practice, but be wanting to get the track down pat before they enter the qualifying session. Just looking at the weather for this session. It's clear skies, 22-degree air temperature, but the track temperature, because of all that sunlight, 40 degrees track temperature. So there isn't going to be much grip available to these guys.
Yeah, it's quite warm as far as track temp goes. There's about 35% usage, well there was at the start of the session for track usage. Probably be a little bit more rubber down, but yeah, as I said, it's quite warm for these guys. The Formula Renault doesn't really tend to like warmer weather. It tends to be very much a lower temperature, high grip sort of car that is enjoyable at that sort of range, but otherwise it's not going to be too bad, as these guys won't have to struggle with cold tyres so much.
Yes, indeed. Well, come up to 2 minutes remaining in the practice session. Jack Bell is still up the tippy top of the timesheets on a 1:18.966, but Chris Burgess is not too far behind on an 18.992. And we've got not much of a gap between Gary Hamilton and Dylan Shepherd, third and fourth position. So looking forward to seeing what happens between those drivers when we go racing in about 15-16 minutes time.
Yeah, it's looking fairly close, even though it's actually practice at the moment. So, really, actually looking forward to seeing how this plays out at the moment.
Just looking entering the pits, car number 10, Rolf Just. The only international in the field at the moment, has elected to do this series because he likes racing in the mornings in Europe, so going to be one of his stomping grounds as he tests out a pit stop and exits his car. Currently in 18th position on a 22.48, but it's good to see him out there having a go.
Yeah, it's always good to see when internationals come and join the party, so that you get to see how much quicker you are against those the likes of those guys. So, going to be interesting to see whether he's going to be able to pull something out in qualifying, or whether we're actually seeing he's not doing too great at the moment, being an 18th, but otherwise he's pondering around quite nicely.
Green AJ Bear now in 6th place. AJ is a guy that I've raced against quite a few times in Skippies, also in a few other less raced cars in iRacing. Very quick driver. Obviously holding his own in the Formula Renault 2.0 as the checkered flag flies for the practice session, and we will be going into qualifying in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, just continuing on from your point there. Yeah, AJ is a fairly quick driver. I've raced against him myself. He seems to be more noticeable in the Lotus 79 at the moment, but otherwise he's a fairly quick driver to race against, and he's quite good as well.
So, as the qualifying session gets underway, we're going to go with Jack Bell for first laps in qualifying, just exiting the pits. Going through the smooth infield section under the bridge, through the fast right-hander, over the curb. Finishing the tour around the actual lake, Laguna Seca. Under another bridge once again through this incredibly tight kink that opens up on the exit, and then the track meanders a little bit before the corkscrew. Turning in early, making sure not to do what Jack Bell just did. Now he's slowing down, gearing up, warming up those tyres. Get some proper heat into them before he goes and attacks the circuit for his first flying lap.
Yeah, that's the thing with this car. You've really got to get those tyres to temp before you can fully really push it to the limit. And there's also the other thing of that you want to have... It's going to be a matter of saving your tyres slightly as well, so that, well, obviously you don't have limited tyres, but in terms of what you would actually do is you'd probably want fresher tyres for each one you do, because the tyres do tend to drop off a little bit, not massively, but they will drop off enough to the point where you can't really have much more to get out of it in terms of pace, as the car is actually on the older tyre model as well.
Yeah, true. We need to take that into account as well. But Jack Bell, relatively clean laps so far. Very good banker. There are times coming in, but they are times that have resulted from out laps. We're crossing the start-finish line after getting out the pits. Oh, that'd be an off track for Jack Bell, I would think. Shame. You'll want to... You're up for another one. Oh, and that is a very easy thing to do at the corkscrew. The way the camber changes over the crest of that hill can massively unsettle the car. So Edward Van Velsen is going to be who we're focusing on at the moment in car number 24.
Nice one through, I believe it's turn 7 if I'm not wrong.
Now, much cleaner through the corkscrew. This long downhill right-hander, very challenging, almost on the verge of flat out, depending on the car. Tell you what, he's kept it together nicely. Oh, that'd ruin his run a little bit, but still, looking like a pretty good time. So let's see what time he can do. It's going to be a 19.265, and that puts him provisional pole at the moment. 2/10 ahead of Dylan Shepherd.
Very nice time.
Next driver we're focusing on, number 968 for Team Bushfink Racing, Sam Katakouzanos. Through the last turn. Very challenging to get the power down out of that last turn. Going to be the beginning of a lap for Sam. Through turn 1 he goes, down to turn 2, the double apex hairpin. Very easy to stick one up the inside in the middle of that turn, but your opponent have to be very trusting of each other.
Yes.
All that curb on the entry. Not quite as much on the apex and on the exit. Love this uphill banked turn.
6 now that I've checked.
Ooh, running just a little bit wide as Gary Hamilton goes to the top by 600ths, a 19.202 for Hamilton.
Oh, bit of a lock up there on the entry. Quite easy to do as well with the drop off and sudden camber change.
Yeah, it certainly is, but still this is looking like a pretty clean lap so far from Sam. Despite running wide at one point in the lap. So let's see how he does coming out of the last turn, using quite a bit of curb. Crosses the line, and it's going to be a 21.242, so that puts him provisional 10th. Currently on a flyer also, Emily Jones. Down to 14th at the moment. Has not set a representative lap time, but come out of the corkscrew and looks to be pushing that car pretty hard.
Yeah, it looks like she's got this lap currently pretty well packed down.
Got Newton to first, an 18.824, 4/10 up from Hamilton. Very impressive time there.
Yes.
What Emily Jones can do. She was 7th in practice. It's not going to be a legitimate lap. That's a shame. Either way, yeah, very impressive time from Scott Newton. I'm wondering if he's going for another.
Yeah, that speed doesn't really... Oh,
We're hearing that
did
he
it on
actually...
fourth lap.
Yeah, wow. So that's pretty good pace from Scott, so he must be very confident in that car.
Yeah, he definitely is. Like I said, he is one of the best Formula Renault drivers, as
Whoa!
he's just sent it so as commentator's curious, sorry. But yeah, he is one of the best Formula Renault drivers in iRacing at the moment, so it's of no surprise that he's managed to put it up there with an 18.8.
Yep, as we see Jack Bell finishing a lap, or starting one. Doesn't count, unfortunately. Stay with Jack for this lap, see what he can do. He did top the timesheets in practice. Oh, running a little too wide there. Well, the session is about half done, so guys will be wanting to get a good lap on the board pretty soon. Oh. Very aggressive over those exit curbs. Let's see how he does through here. Lines it up nicely. Oh, a little bit of off-roading on the exit.
Yeah, possibly bottomed out a little bit there. Oh, a bit of squirreling on the brakes as well. Oh, really having a man down with the car there.
Yeah, very unsettled through the corkscrew. I'm not sure how happy Jack Bell is with his car at the moment, but see if this is a representative lap time. Out of the last turn he goes. So Scott Newton is now in the pits, and this may be his session done. Jack Bell does a 19.494, and that puts him 5th.
Not too bad of a time considering he did have a few mistakes.
Connor Adam just aborting a lap at the moment. Cameron Freeman just had a bit of a spin and has got going again out of the last turn.
Carrying a bit of front wing damage as well by the looks of it.
Has yet to put in a lap. Currently last on the timesheets, was 14th in practice. Ellie Jones once again on a flyer. So, I don't know if that's going to be an off track.
It would have been close.
Yeah, the off tracks here at Laguna Seca can be interesting. Sometimes they can allow you to just dip a wheel off. Other times they can be absolutely draconian depending on the turn. But I haven't driven here in a while, so I'm not quite sure. Meanwhile, Jack Bell goes to second. Very good.
It's 2/10 off, actually, Scott, so it's doing well.
Yeah, very much so. And the gap between him and Hamilton is absolutely incredible. It's only a couple of hundredths. So that's another lap that hasn't counted for Emily Jones.
Yeah, possibly just push the limits of the car and track just slightly too far.
Oh, Gary Hamilton. Have a look at him going out of the hairpin, and there's a car spun there. I think that's Jones. Gary Hamilton will probably be thinking at the moment, where can I find 2/10?
Yes, it's very tricky like that, this car, as it does require a little bit of brown power to actually find some extra time, as it can be down to the drive, but it also can be down to the setup, and the setup window for this car is actually a little bit narrower than what you'd normally have, but as I said earlier, it is quite a difficult car to drive on the limit, so you'll be really pushing that car on the limit like he is at the moment.
Yeah, have a look at the direction change that Hamilton's got in that car. Incredible stuff, but he comes through the last turn, late apexing it to try and get a good run. But that's going to be a 20 flat from him, a second off his best, but this is probably going to be a proper attempt at a lap from Hamilton. Bit of dust in the first turn as well, which should be a bit dangerous, but Jordan McDonnell currently on screen.
Yeah, it looked like he got a little bit of understeer through turn 3 there just before.
Hooked up that exit curve nicely, very good to see. A lap car in front of him just slowing down to let him by. That looked like Katakuzanos. Oh, and McDonald's
That's an
off.
off track.
Yeah. An off track and a half. Edward Van Velsen, though. Now the last turn. See if he can improve on his fourth position. The 19.682. So, unfortunately, no improvement for him. Bell improved on the last lap that he did. He's down to an 18.959, so we'll be watching him to see what he can do on this one. Only a few minutes left in the practice session.
Yeah, a couple of guys have left pit lane to try and get one of those last flyers in by the looks of it, on fresh tyres.
A little bit of wheel spin I heard through the corkscrew there.
Yeah, that's not too uncommon of an occurrence in this car through the corkscrew, or any car for that matter.
Nice and late on the brakes. Oh, sliding on the exit.
Oof.
Very well controlled. What's this going to be?
Oh, an 1892. 892, sorry.
Very nice, only 500ths of a second now, 600ths, sorry, separating him and Scott Newton.
Yeah, it's very close at the top.
AJ Bear, meanwhile, about to finish a lap, being very aggressive over those curbs. Lots of dust getting kicked up in the corkscrew by drivers just taking a little too much of the inside.
Yeah, that is one of the slight disadvantages of a track like this, where there is pretty much dirt everywhere, is that it does tend to become one with the track throughout the races and sessions.
Yeah, certainly does. Well, AJ Bear's crossing the line now, and it's going to be a 19.584, so no improvement from him. He remains 7th. Got under a minute to go in this session, 40 seconds. Back to Jack Bell at the moment to see how he does on this run. It looks like the drivers are putting
He's
in
coming
long
in
runs.
by the looks of it.
Yes, indeed. And this pit entry at Laguna Seca, so tight. Almost at full lock trying to get the car turned for that. But we're going to take a look at Emily Jones.
There's quite a bit of that red sausage curve there. Through turn 3.
So down in 18th, Emily Jones has not been able to set an actual proper lap time in this session. She does have a time on the board, only a 27.391.
Yeah, she'll definitely be wanting to get a good lap in this lap.
While Chris Burgess just went to 3rd on a 19.022. So,
I think that's going to be an off track.
Yeah, so I don't think Emily Jones will getting a time in the session unless she gears up and goes for this last one. But no, checkered flag is actually out, so that's not a session that Emily Jones will be very happy with, but it will be a session that Scott Newton, Jack Bell and Chris Burgess will be happy with. So with that, I think we should run through the qualifying results. So Scott Newton has taken pole for round 0 of the New Zealand and Australian iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship. Jack Bell in 2nd, Chris Burgess in 3rd, Gary Hamilton in 4th place, Edward Van Velsen in 5th, Dylan Shepard taking 6th with AJ Bear in 7th, and Sam Katakouzanos out in the top 8, Jordan McDonnell in 9th place, and rounding out your top 10, Griffin Gardner.
And 11th we have Joseph Okamata in 11th. 12th is Mark Peter Dean. 13th Kurt Stenberg. 14th Connor Adam. 15th Cameron Freeman. 16th Benny Gill. 17th Rolf Hust. 18th Emily Jones. And 19th is Steve Hoppert.
Yeah, Steve Hoppert, guy that I'm familiar with from years back, formerly known as Mad Dog. I remember racing R Factor in the same server as him. It's good to see him here on iRacing having a go. So, 107.1 kilometer race length. The moment in this race, the not really the first round of the championship. It's the test round for the championship.
Yes, it's going to be a very long race for these guys. 30 laps in the Formula Renault is quite the distance. It's pretty much the distance, just 5 laps short of what the New Zealand Grand Prix is here in New Zealand. So it's definitely a very long race, and these guys are going to have to be very conservative in terms of how they use their tyres and when they really do push. As once those tyres drop off, you really do start to feel them.
Yeah, you certainly do. And another thing we got to consider is the start-finish area at Laguna Seca goes through a dip. So if you're starting from pole, you're actually starting uphill, which is going to be quite interesting for those guys up the front. Jay is estimating the race will last for 40 minutes. So Like most of the drivers are on the grid now at the moment. We're just waiting for a couple more to join in, and we'll be getting ready to go racing at Laguna Seca. I'm hearing that the lapometer, is that what we're calling it now? Is what predicted the race length. We called it the predictometer last round, Jay. Last night. So yeah, the predictometer, V8's Online's multi-tool. But the lights are up and we're going to go green.
Oh, and someone's jumped in the background.
Yeah,
that looks like Sam.
Yeah, that was Sam, and Dylan Shepherd actually blinked, I believe, and that sort of misled Sam into thinking the race was going, but going too wide into the first turn. Chris Burgess, oh no, we got a spinner.
Oh.
That's
Hamilton by the looks of it.
Gary Hamilton, another spinner.
No, Jack Bell, sorry.
Bell. But Emily Jones and Mark
Steve
Dean
Hoppin.
have come together as well. They've their race is done. Emily Jones has stopped and escaped back to the pits. I think her race is well and truly done. Didn't even make a couple of corners. That's a real shame. But
yeah, that's unfortunate.
Got a replay of what happened to Emily on screen at the moment.
Oh, it just looks like she was innocent bystander in it.
That is a real shame, but either way, got another driver having problems. That's Dylan Shepherd, nearly spinning out of the corkscrew.
Griffin Gardner's also done it into the corkscrew, actually, while trying to go up the inside of Jordan McDonnell.
Yeah, so not the race start many of these drivers would have been wanting, but Scott Newton has remained untroubled up the front. He sets his first lap. So Sam Katakuzanos in the pits. Not sure whether it's for damage or a stop-go. The battle for second is actually heating up quite a bit. Looks like Dylan Shepherd's just passed Chris Burgess for second. And Edward Van Velsen behind those two is looking to make a bit of ground up as well. Oh, have a look at him run off into the dirt.
Probably a bit of aero wash there.
Yeah, just a bit. Meanwhile, behind them, it's looking pretty single file.
Yeah, it's looking like everybody's fairly spread out at the moment. There are a couple of moves. Jack Bell making his way back through the field at the moment as well.
Oh, here we go.
Otherwise,
Edward
everybody
Van
is...
Velsen on Chris. Move done around the outside of the corkscrew.
Yeah, that's quite a challenging pass to do, but he's managed to get it done.
Having a look a bit further back, Joseph Falcamata leading Kurt Stenberg, Connor Adam and Cameron Freeman. A little bit of a train forming here. This is one of the things that we've got to consider in open wheeler racing, as Mark Dean and Rolf Just battling at the moment. So Rolf Just getting past, lost 2 positions there. Gary Hamilton just making his way past with a very damaged front wing. Shepherd and Van Velsen though, having a look at this battle. And open wheeler racing, it's Shepherd just having internet issues we're seeing.
Yeah, and he's disappeared completely by the looks of it, so he may drop out shortly.
We'll see what happens, but that would be a real shame for Shepherd after running in second place. Well, Kurt Stenberg's just lost a spot, run wide. That's Connor Adam through on him, and now he'll be the one taking up the charge to pass Falcamata.
Yes, indeed, although Stenny's looking pretty racy at the moment, so could have a little bit of a battle going on here for 7th position.
Gary Hamilton and Mark Dean currently fighting very hard with Benny Gale, who defends. Mark Dean just watching Gary Hamilton pass, and then Dean takes advantage and puts his own move on Gale. We've got quite a few drivers trying to make their way back up through the field after incidents on the first lap, but we look at Connor Adam and Kurt Stenberg once again. Open wheel racing, and there's Dylan Shepherd dropping out of the service, so that's night over for him, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but open wheel racing, sorry, Cameron.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's just quite unfortunate for Dylan, as he was doing quite well there.
But yes, open wheel racing is it's a bit of a different beast to the usual touring car and sports car racing that we see on V8s Online. Jack Bell, though. We'll look at Cameron Freeman through the corkscrew. There's a lot more strategizing. A lot of the time you see drivers just, oh, Jack Bell, really sliding. But a lot of the time you see drivers just throwing it up the inside, maybe leaning on the car beside them a bit in order to make the pass. But you can't really do that in open wheel racing. You have to give and leave yourself a little bit of space as well as your opponent, so that you don't have a really bad incident because those wheels are exposed. Jack Bell, though, planning the move well, going up the inside.
He's right the inside and run wide.
Yeah. Not too sure if that had any chance of working, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably a bit deep there.
While Jordan McConnell and AJ Bear is closed up by a second in the last lap, so this is the battle for 4th and 5th at the moment. And now about a 1/6 of the way through this race. AJ just getting a little bit of a draft from Jordan. Absolutely smashing onto the throttle through the corkscrew. Meanwhile, it looks like Kurt Stenberg's gotten
Jordan
by
runs
Connor Adam.
wide and he's gone off.
Oh, no. Oh, and Connor Adam, meanwhile, having trouble as well. Going to get a replay of what happened to Jordan and to Connor. So, yeah, Jordan really... That's an easy thing to do, just losing it on exit, and then out into the gravel trap the second last turn.
Yeah.
Connor Adam, meanwhile, I noticed him going slowly. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. Looked like a tank slapper, it seems, so that's just really unfortunate. The car just gripping up and then basically a passenger.
Yeah, coming through. He went through turn 6 and just got it a little bit loose, and that was it.
Going to the race leader, though, at the moment, he's enjoying a 5-second lead over other cars, which quite the sight to see.
Yeah, it's quite interesting when you see guys pull away so much like that in open wheelers, as Edward Van Velsen runs wide just behind them. But yeah, Scott's a very good driver, so it's of no surprise that he has managed to pull a 5-second gap. But if Jack Bell can actually come back through the field, it'll be quite interesting to see whether he'll have any tyres left to actually challenge for the lead.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I just went back and had a look at an incident between Steve Hoppett and Sam Katakouzanos. They had a bit of a coming together, unfortunately. It looked like Sam ran off track, and as he was re-entering the track, came together with Steve Hoppett, and that's resulted in both of their retirements. So that's 2 more people out of this race. Van Velsen, though, head of Chris Burgess. Looks like Van Velsen has a tiny bit of aero damage, so this might be affecting his pace. Oh, Wedward. Just over-rotated in the corkscrew. That has brought Chris Burgess right up to the back of him. Now he'll be looking to try and make the pass.
Yeah, Burgess will be smelling blood.
Really deep under brakes, both of them, but it looks like Van Velsen has the advantage on exit.
looks like Van Velsen's also carrying a little bit of front wing damage as well.
Or just running over the dust at the apex of the first turn. Wondering how Jack Bell's doing at the moment. He's chasing down Falcamata. Bell's been able to make his way past Stenberg and Freeman and those other drivers, and he is now catching up to Falcamata at a rate of knots. Have a look at the gap, it's closing rapidly.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing very hard. He really wants to get past all this traffic and try and get up to Scott so he can try challenge for the lead, as he definitely knows he has the pace to. Just has to be careful that he doesn't overdo it and use his tyres up too much, as he's a bit of a lock up there. Oh, and he's almost overdone it. Very close.
He needs to, I think he needs to calm down a little bit, let the car come to him. I mean, of course it is a downforce car and you need to be on it all the time, but needs to take stock of where he is at the moment and try to get things together. We're going back to Chris Burgess and Edward Van Velsen once again. Guys even closer than they were last time. The Burgess does have a little bit of an advantage through that opening section of the lap, but that once they get to this section of the track, Chris Burgess, I don't know, it seems like Van Velsen is being much more aggressive with his turn in now, possibly to compensate for that aero damage. Meanwhile, Burgess is just keeping his lines nice and smooth. He's not using too much of the curbs.
Yeah, I think the other problem is that Chris is suffering from a bit of aero push from being so close to Edward at the moment, so probably not able to quite get the car through the corner as he'd like to, as he's possibly looking up the inside there at the last corner, but doesn't quite make the move. But yeah, as I was saying, he's just got to bide his time, and eventually Edward's tyres will eventually go because of the aero damage.
Yep, here we go. Have a look at Chris Burgess here in the slipstream. He's going to go for the move at the hairpin. He has the inside. Van Velsen leaves him room. See if Van Velsen can come back at him, though. He does. Has the traction on the outside and is able to take the position back instantly.
Yeah, that's the one tricky thing about that corner. If you're going to go for a move, you have to remember that you're going to be on the outside for the next corner, so you have to get a very good exit to try and get the overlap to get back into the inside racing line. So a track that very much does require a bit of ahead thinking, but by the looks of it, Chris should be able to do that fairly quickly.
Yeah, certainly. Well, AJ Bear looks like he's had an issue. He's off track now, and he's lost a ton of positions. He'll be back in front of Kurt Stenberg there. Let's get a replay of what happened to him. Looks like it was just a case of him losing it under brakes, which is a real shame.
Yeah, it looked like he got the car pointed in and then just dropped the wheel and rotated, and that was it.
Oh yeah, not under brakes, on throttle. Yes. Yeah, that's to be fair, Cam, that's a very easy thing to do at that corner. It's got a nice open exit that seems to invite you in, but then that curb comes up and hits you in the face and you realise that you've overdone it maybe a little too late. So AJ Bear now all the way back in position number 7.
Yeah.
Which incidentally is where he started.
Yeah.
While Jack Bell closing in on Jordan McDonnell. Like he's managed to get by Falcamata, and now he is in pursuit of the 4th place man.
Yeah, Jack set his quickest lap on lap 6, so he's down the 20s in that last lap, so he's definitely got by in that last lap, and he's definitely a little bit quicker than Jordan at the moment.
That battle will eventuate within the next few laps, I believe, but the closest battle on track remains Van Velsen versus Burgess for second and third.
Yeah, those two have definitely been going at it for a couple of laps now.
Well, looks like Connor Adam is on his way to catching up with Rolf Just. Will be looking to make his way past him very soon. While Jordan McDonald has just done his fastest lap of the race, so the presence of Jack Bell behind him must have given him a little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah, it probably has, but still not quite as quick as Jack's time. Jack did a 1 minute 19.1 for his quickest lap, so Jack's definitely going to get to Jordan fairly quickly at this rate.
He certainly is. Meanwhile, Van Velsen and Burgess still locked together. Noticing that that Burgess is just losing out a little bit in these fast-flowing turns because of the aero push. So, despite the damage that Van Velsen has, he is still able to keep Burgess behind him. While Scott Newton sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:19 flat. That's pretty good for race conditions. While Cameron Freeman and Gary Hamilton fighting pretty hard at the moment. Oh, Hamilton.
Ooh.
Freeman's gotten past Mark Dean in the midst of all of that. But now, looks like Freeman would have made a mistake, and Hamilton was able to get in front of him. But well, with Hamilton making mistakes like he did at the end of that lap, the battle is far from over.
Yeah, indeed.
While the battle for second still raging on, there's about a tenth in it between these guys. But as they come up to this top half of the circuit up on the hill, see Van Velsen gapping Burgess just the tiniest little bit.
Bell's actually got past McDonnell, actually.
Yep, so that has happened. So Jack Bell will now be up to fourth place. Another fastest lap from Scott Newton, an 18.7. So the cars are really coming alive in this mid-stage of the race.
Yeah, Scott will definitely have set that car up to be coming on later with older tyres, with it being a 30-lap race as well, so not too bad of an idea there.
Yeah, certainly not. Battle for second and third, meanwhile, still going on. And you notice in this opening part of the lap, once again, it looks to be Burgess that has the edge. But Falcamata and AJ Bear are on screen at the moment. Bear right behind Falcamata. Tell you what a race some of these guys have had. Falcamata's just managed to stay out of trouble, and he's gotten all the way up from 11th to 6th, so done quite well for himself. Meanwhile, Burgess has gotten past Van Velsen, so unfortunately we've missed that. It looks like Van Velsen just went off the track, made a mistake right into the gravel trap, and just avoided a tank slapper. So that's second place decided, basically.
Yeah, that pretty much hands Burgess the second spot on the podium, so... Oh.
It was quite the incident, just barely held that, but going back to AJ Bear versus Joseph Falcamata, Bear is very, very close now. I would expect an attempt at a move at the hairpin.
He's looking like he's got to run.
Yeah, and Falcamata leaves him the space, but looks like Bear's decided to back out, so there goes Falcamata remaining in front. Just behind them, probably really liking the look of what he's seeing, Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, Stenny will definitely be looking at this going, ooh, this could be a good opportunity here.
AJ Bear, wow, moving quite aggressively in Falcomato's mirrors.
Yeah, he'll definitely be trying to make himself clear that he's there and trying to do that old distraction trick that a number of drivers are known to do.
I think he might be a little too far back for a move at the corkscrew. Taking a much more aggressive line than Falcomata, though.
Pretty much halfway through this race as well, actually.
Oh, we are indeed. The Falcomata versus Bear. Bear's taken much more aggressive lines now. Have a look. This might be another move at the hairpin. This is for position number 6. Here we go. Down the inside goes AJ Bear.
He's got the move done.
Yep, so Falcomata left him the space there, and Bear decided to take it this time round. Now, Falcomata is facing pressure from that yellow car, Kurt Stenberg.
Yeah, Stenny's managed to jump onto this and said, take me along, guys.
Yeah, he's really looking good in that toe. Might he make a move here? I think he will.
He's up the inside. Yep, he's got it done.
Goes right through, using the camber of the track to his advantage. And, well, we'll see if he can pull a gap. He certainly will through this turn, because Falcomata will be having that aero disturbance. While Connor Adams got past Benny Giel back in the field. At turn 1. We're just getting a replay of that pass now. So yeah, it looks like, yeah, typical fairly textbook maneuver, draft down the front stretch, moving to the inside through the kink, and then just a little bit later on the brakes. Ooh, got squeezed a little bit by Giel there, and they just managed to fit his car through, but still, they both managed to get through there unharmed, which is good to see. Now, Falcomata and Stenberg still together. I'm actually impressed at how Falcomata's managed to hold on to Stenberg here.
Yeah, he's done quite a good job so far.
Having said that, Falcomata qualified 2 positions ahead of Stenberg, so at least in terms of outright one-lap pace, he does have a bit of an advantage, but from my time as a teammate with Stenny, he's very much a racer, not a qualifier.
Yeah, and I think in this series it's probably going to be more down to a little bit of qualifying, but we'll have to see as the series progresses on.
Yep, meanwhile Jack Bell on his enormous charge has caught up to the back of Edward Van Velsen, who is looking a bit scrappy through that section of the circuit, just running off the curb slightly. Jack Bell, once again, very aggressive over the inside curb, and who knows, he might be setting up a move into the hairpin. Once again, the draft.
He's got to run.
Oh, and Van Velsen. Oh, I thought for a moment Van Velsen was going to stick to the inside, but he's left Bell room, and it looks like Bell is going to get that done and dusted.
Yeah, he's got that move done. A little bit scrappy on under brakes, but otherwise he's got it done.
Something's happened to Cameron Freeman, we're hearing. He's in the pits with no rear wing, so let's have a look at what happened here. The last corner.
Around, just too much throttle on the exit.
That is a real shame. So the tyres are starting to go away now at this point in the race after happy hour around lap 13 to 16. Quite big loop, actually. It looked like one of those old death spins that you used to get all the time, just the car losing a tiny bit of grip and then it just sort of decreases exponentially and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's really one of those problems that the old time model had, but yeah, just unfortunate that happened as he was actually having quite a good race up until then.
Yes, indeed. Well, have have a look at lap times here. It looks like on that last lap, Jack Bell was about 6/10 quicker than Chris Burgess, so he's running out of time, but if he can keep up the pace that he's had so far, he might be well in with a chance at taking second by the end of the race.
Yeah, he's definitely been doing some fairly quick and consistent times in the past few laps, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when he catches Ryan to the back of Chris. And as far as pace is concerned with Scott, he's a little bit slower, but otherwise he's pretty much on par.
Yeah, Scott Newton just lapping Benny Giel there, seems to be managing his race at the moment, which in his position, about 20 seconds or so ahead of the next car, I wouldn't do any different.
Yeah, he's probably backed it down a little bit just to save his tyres a little bit, just because he knows he's got that massive lead, so no real need to push it to the limit and use up those tyres, considering that the guy behind is a little bit quicker.
And that is 11 laps to go at the moment, so looking at the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th, it's spaced out quite a bit. Stenny's managed to gap Falcomata. At the same time, it seems he's closing a little bit on AJ Bear. It was a 20.1 from AJ Bear last lap, a 20.21 from Stenberg, so not much between those guys.
Yeah, it's looking like they're pretty even in terms of pace at the moment.
$19.326 for Jack Bell on the last lap. Chris Burgess a 20.182. So nearly 8/10 Jack Bell's gotten on Chris.
And
See what it's
Scott
like.
actually did a 20.8 that last lap, so Jack's definitely still pushing.
Yeah. Chris Burgess 19.8. Jack Bell 19.4.
Ooh, a bit loose under the brakes there for Jack Bell.
Just a little. Got Newton now coming up to lap Connor Adam. Very good opportunity for us to go silent, take a little bit of a break and go on board for a lap around Laguna Seca with our race leader. So here's a lap of one of the greatest racetracks in America with Scott Newton. Oh no! Okay.
Oh no, he slipped it.
Well, that's put paid to that, unfortunately. Is this the new
Just go
version of
silent.
commentator's curse, as Jay Kennedy says in our ears? Oh my goodness. Well, Fortunately, that hasn't hurt Scott much. He's been way in the lead, but Jack Bell now right on the back of Chris Burgess. He'll be looking to take second, at least in the next half lap.
Yeah, the gap's now down to 14 seconds, so he's only really lost about 5 seconds out of that spin.
All right, well, an onboard lap until the last corner with Scott Newton. While Bell on Burgess looks like he might go for the move here. He pulls out and makes the move, and Burgess doesn't exactly make it difficult for him.
No, he's probably realised that Jack's a lot quicker, so he's just handed the position over and let him run after Scott at the front.
Now in this this late stage of the race, there's a little bit of a lull in the action. It looks like everyone's just settled in and going to maintain their position. It is quite impressive, though, that that Van Velsen has managed to get to where he is with that front wing damage.
Yeah, it's quite impressive, as usually this car, once you get front wing damage, usually doesn't really handle too well, but he's done a very good job at actually managing the car and its grip levels, so very well done to him.
Car coming out of the pits, that's Emily Jones. Decided to come back out for a few laps. Like she'll gain a spot in a couple of laps. Actually, she'll gain a couple of spots if she keeps going. What with Shepard, Katakuzanos, and Hoppet all out. Gary Hamilton in the pits, we're hearing. Oh dear. What happened to him? Oh, it's another one of those corner exit scenarios. Just getting a little bit too spirited on the throttle on exit, inducing a bit of understeer, actually, and just catching the dirt in the wrong spot. So that is really not the end that that Gary Hamilton would have wanted to his night. And curiously, Kurt Stenberg has had a bit of an incident too, and gotten back past Falcomar. It looks like he had a bit of a run-in with the corkscrew.
Yeah, he's got halfway through it, and it's over-rotated on him.
And just replay on screen at the moment, running across that little patch of dirt on the apex, and I think the car was already sliding that by that point, so it just made it worse. Quite a large front lockup as well, we're hearing, so that's unfortunate for Stenny. Meanwhile, we're seeing Griffin Gardner in the pits as well. He's got a bit of damage to his front. Car up on the jacks. Another fastest lap for Scott Newton, meanwhile. He's dragging a bollard around the circuit with him, I'm noticing. A 1:18.7.
That bollard would be slowing him down a little bit, and it looks like he's actually got a little bit of wing damage as well from it.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, he has too. Well, that's certainly not what you'd want. A reminder that it's not like the old days where you could just pass through cones and bollards. You can actually pick them up, and they can slow you down and cause you damage. So,
yes.
Unfortunately, it looks like Scott's fallen foul of that slightly.
Yeah, he has, but not that it's probably going to affect him too much with a 17-second lead at the moment.
And Gary Hamilton now officially out of the race. Griffin Gardner's back out. Gonna have a look at what happened to Griffin. Doesn't look like much of anything has happened to him. I think he just came in to repair some damage and keep going. While Scott Newton picking up a bollard once again and with more front wing damage, did a 28.3.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's intentional or not.
Yeah. Jack Bell closing in pretty quick. I think Scott Newton is just been a little too spirited with his use of the first turn, and his those bollards have put paid to his front downforce.
Yeah, he's definitely got some front wing damage now, and it'll definitely be affecting him a lot. So I'd say Jack's going to get him fairly quickly. I'd say within the next lap at least.
Yeah, Jack Bell down to about 2 seconds this gap. Wow. For a minute there we thought Scott Newton had an easy win. Well, it's not so easy now.
No.
Oh, Newton's off the track. He's... Wow, major loss of downforce. He'll be really feeling that in that car.
He's always just about been running two there.
Yeah, complete lack of speed as well. Straight line speed suffering a bit as well. Have a look at that. Bell just blasted past.
Yeah, that's... Not sure why whether he's clipped it on purpose, that's unfortunate.
Well, quite the comeback drive for Jack Bell, I have to say. Qualified second and was all the way down in the field after the race start. Now he's just taken the lead back with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, very bizarre turn of events, actually.
Indeed. And Scott Newton, wow, struggling massively with straight line speed. Now he's got cars passing him in a straight line all over the place.
And through the corners as well.
Chris Burt just got past him. Edward Van Velsen will be on his way to passing him as well.
John McDonnell as well is not too far behind Edwards, so he'll probably get by as well.
Look at the top speed of Scott Newton. It's almost as if he's lifting off.
Yeah.
There's some major damage to that car.
Incredible. Yeah, the Formula Renault is very hero dependent as far as we can see here, and from what I've found. So, yeah, he's going to be very much affected as Van Velsen puts it up the inside there, and when Newton runs wide.
McDonnell goes past him too. Oh, Newton to the pits.
Newton's in the pits. He'll be getting a new front wing by the looks of it.
Yep, for sure. Wow. What a horrible turn of events for Scott Newton. Meanwhile, Van Velsen and McDonnell are going to be having a battle now, this time for third. So, wow, this race is completely turned on its head right at the end.
Yeah, I don't think we saw this coming at all.
Yeah, certainly not. So, question is, last laps from these guys looked like McDonnell was almost a second faster than Van Velsen. And look, Van Velsen, exit compromise, straight line speed compromise. He's going to try and defend from McDonnell through here. They bang wheels. Little bit of contact. Never hurt no one except in open wheelers.
Yeah. Yeah, got to be careful with that.
Meanwhile, the battle between Falcamata and Kurt Stenberg is back on as well. So, wow, this race has really come alive in the dying stages. About to be 1 lap to go from Jack Bell as he comes through the last turn. But battle between McDonnell and Van Velsen is really heating up. Rolf Just lets them by, and Van Velsen
just about lost it.
Oh, well, that's given McDonnell third place. Van Velsen will be wanting to get that. It's the last lap from these guys. Denny and Falcamata still battling super hard.
Oh, Van Velsen trying to go around the outside at the hairpin. Oh, he's trying to get the crossover and he's been bogged.
Well, Stenny and Falcamata were side by side, but Stenny's backed out of it. But we may be seeing a move from him very, very soon. Oh, he goes really deep into the hairpin. Lines up the exit well, though. Who do we watch?
It's now a three-way battle for third, because AJ Bear's now involved.
Yeah, AJ Bear, he's gotten right into this.
He's got a run-up coming up soon. 6. This is going to be very much ballsy. Oh, that's going to be close.
Oh, that's one of the hardest
That is incredibly hard.
in all of sim racing to go side by side through. The fact that they managed to do that is incredible. And Van Velsen struggling with front grip. Well, so Jack Bell, well, what can you say about him? He major comeback drive. He comes out of the last turn and crosses the line to take victory here in the New Zealand and Australia iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship, and it looks like AJ Bear was not able to get past Edward Van Velsen at the last turn, so that is third place decided for Jordan McDonnell, fourth place.
Stenny's going to go around the outside.
Oh, around the outside of the last turn. Can they do it?
No, he's not quite.
Nah, hasn't got the traction, unfortunately. Well, that's that position decided as well. Crossing the line just half a car length behind Falcamata. Good job from both of those guys to take advantage of the bad fortune of others. Finish well within the top 10. Fantastic stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome race at the end there.
And Scott Newton crossed the line, led for most of the race by a huge amount, but now has to deal with finishing 9th. Fortunately, this race isn't for points. Benny Giel is the last driver to cross the line in this round 0 of the Formula Renault 2.0 Championship. Let's have a run through the race results. So Jack Bell has taken victory in this preparatory round with Chris Burgess in 2nd and Jordan McDonnell in 3rd. Edward Van Velsen in 4th, AJ Bear in 5th, Joseph Falcamata holding off only just for 6th place, and Mark Dean finishing in 8th, Scott Newton in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, the first car a lap down, Connor Adam.
In 11th we have Rolf Eust, in 12th we have Griffin Gardner, 13th Benny Giel, and rounding out the rest of the field, your DNFers, Gary Hamilton, Cameron Freeman, Emily Jones actually did finish the race and get 16th, Steve Hoppett in 17th, Sam Katakunis in 18th, and Dylan Shepherd in 19th.
Well, that was quite the round, and I'm actually looking forward to the season starting proper very soon, Cam. The racing did lull a bit in the 3rd quarter, but by the end it really spiced up, and we got some great finishes out of that.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a very, very competitive season indeed, with the number of guys that are going to be here for round 1. So look forward to it, and it should be a very busy and competitive championship.
Certainly will be. A reminder that we will be here this time next week, same day, for round 1 of the New Zealand and Australian iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship for round 1 at Okayama. So really, really good track for open wheel racing. Lots of heavy braking zones there, and we should see some fantastic racing from these guys, as we have seen here at Laguna Seca. So at the moment, waiting to see if any drivers come in for interviews, but I don't believe they will be. So I think it's a good idea to wrap the broadcast here. So thank you very much for joining me, Cameron, and of course thanks to all the drivers for providing some good racing for us to bounce off.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's definitely been a good night of racing, and should be even better next week.
Yeah, certainly will be. So we'll be here to bring you the action, and we hope that you all will be too. Same time next week. Be sure to catch us then, and catch us tomorrow for IMSA Official, as we see the Australian-New Zealand community come together and race some sports cars for 45 minutes. You've been watching the Australian-New Zealand iRacing Formula Renault 2.0 Championship on V8's Online. We'll see you next time.